Good afternoon and welcome to Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell. I'm Santosh Nair.
And I'm Yatin Mota.
Indices made a strong comeback today after 8 successive sessions of fall and was led largely by strengths in IT, PSU banks and also a fair bit of buying interest seen in metal stocks. Overall, mid-cap shares continue to underperform, and among the prominent gainers of the day today among the Nifty pack, we had Adani Enterprises, Hindalco, UPL, SBI and Tech Mahindra, while among the prominent losers we had Britannia, Power Grid, Cipla, BPCL, SBI Life. The India Volatility Index was down by about close to 7.5% and it's now gone below the 13 mark. Good recovery today, Yatin, but still doubts whether this can persist given that the overall sentiment in the market remains a bit bearish.
Yeah, I think so. But Santo, आज अगर हम सेशन की बात करें तो जैसे आपने कहा 8 days of pain and 1 day of gain. We never know, how the markets will react tomorrow क्योंकि बहुत uncertain है चीज़ें. लेकिन fortunately जो global data flow आ रहा है वो positive side पे आ रहा है. इनफैक्ट आज चाइना का जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडेक्स डेटा आया वो 11-year हाई पे आया, विच इंडिकेट्स दैट देयर इज़ कॉन्फिडेंस इन द कंज्यूमर्स, द मैन्युफैक्चरर्स. तो कहीं ना कहीं उसको लेके आज चाइनीज़ मार्केट्स काफ़ी एक्टिव थे. ऑब्वियसली जहाँ तक कि ग्लोबल मार्केट्स का सवाल है, थोड़ा बहुत रिकवरी का मोड ही आपको दिखाई पड़ रहा है. जहाँ तक इंडियन मार्केट्स का सवाल है सैंटो, आज बहुत दिन बाद एडवांस डिक्लाइन रेशियो लगभग 5:1 था. तो फॉर 5 एडवांसेस देयर वाज ओनली 1 डिक्लाइन. बहुत दिन बाद ये मार्केट ब्रेथ देखने को मिली है. और आज मिड कैप एंड स्मॉल कैप इंडेक्सेस की भी बात करें तो यहाँ काफ़ी अच्छी बाइंग आपको देखने को मिली. सो आज प्रॉब्ली वो फर्स्ट वीक सेकेंड वीक ऑफ मार्च है जहाँ लोगों को सैलरी भी मिली है और मार्केट में भी थोड़ा बहुत चीयर का माहौल है. तो गुड स्टार्ट फॉर द मार्केट्स टुडे एंड होपफुली दिस ट्रेंड कंटिन्यूज.
But Yatin, also let's not forget this is March, typically the last month of the financial year, which means that there will be a lot of shuffling
yes.
for tax considerations, and typically this has been a tough month for the bulls.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Santo. एक्सपेक्टेशन तो ये था कि बजट के बाद एक अच्छी रैली आएगी, फिर मार्च में हम लोग यूजुअली एक म्यूटेड लास्ट 2 weeks देखते हैं. एंड सैंटो इज़ राइट बिकॉज जो मार्जिन फंडिंग होती है, जो लोन बुक्स होती हैं अगेंस्ट शेयर्स, बहुत सारे लेवरेज ट्रेड्स होते हैं, वो यूजुअली आपको नलीफाई होते दिखते हैं लास्ट 2 weeks ऑफ मार्च में. तो जैसे कि सेंटो साहब बता रहे थे, एक म्यूटेड वीक आप एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं 1-2 हफ्तों बाद. लेकिन अप ट्रेंड है तो बात तो अप ट्रेंड की करेंगे सेंटो आज.
Well, and let's take a quick look at the stocks that caught our attention today, starting with Delhivery. Big block trade in stocks today, about 1.7% of the equity changing hands, and talk is that SoftBank is the seller of the block. Now, this is the second major block deal in the stock after the share sale by one of the funds of Tiger Global, which also sold 1.7% equity stake in Delhivery. Now, both these deals happened at the discount to the prevailing market price, but overall at this point in time, given the sharp price erosion since listing, more analysts are bullish on Delhivery, and according to Bloomberg, close to about 13 analysts are positive on Delhivery at this point. 4 have a hold rating and 2 are bearish on the stock. Yatin, lot of action in the stock, but at the same time the critics of Delhivery point out to the fact that there is this WhatsApp that's been doing the round. Somebody like a Blue Dart is about 1,000 crores of operating profits and a market cap of less than 15,000 crore, whereas if you look at Delhivery, market cap is close to about 25,000 crore, where the operating loss is about 340 crore.
Absolutely. Santo, अगर हम नए IPOs की बात करें, these are the new age companies backed by big $1 billion funds. अनफॉर्चुनेटली जो स्टार्टअप कल्चर था उसको एक थोड़ा ब्रेक लगा है. एंड इफ़ यू लुक एट सॉफ्ट बैंक, उन्होंने पेटीएम बेचा, उन्होंने जोमेटो बेचा, अब वो डिलीवरी बेच रहे हैं. तो समहाउ आई थिंक सैंटो फंडामेंटल्स ऑब्वियसली विल प्ले इट्स पार्ट, बट इफ़ यू लुक एट द सप्लाई इन दी स्टॉक्स फ्रॉम एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स, फ्रॉम लार्ज इन्वेस्टर्स लाइक सॉफ्ट बैंक, लाइक अलीबाबा, आई थिंक फेयर बिट ऑफ सप्लाई इज एक्सपेक्टेड एंड शायद इसीलिए स्टॉक्स अंडर परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं. जस्ट इमेजिन सैंटो, today 600 to 800 crores in value of stock got exchanged in pre-open, at the current market price only, and the stock did not budge for the whole day. तो आपको दिखता है कि there is no follow up buying which comes usually in these stocks. And look at Nykaa, look at Paytm, look at Zomato for that matter, look at Delhivery. All of these stocks are probably struggling to make a comeback. Even if there are block deals and there is institutional interest, you will probably find a block happening at a lower price in the near future.
Your stock, Yatin.
So Santo, अगर यहाँ स्टॉक की बात करें तो केमिकल सेक्टर एक इंटरेस्टिंग अपमूव दिखा रहा था आज के सेशन में. Be it SRF, Navin Fluorine, Gujarat Fluoro, a lot of these stocks. There is one thing which came to my mind, when the stock started moving, was the fact that the China PMI data is good. Now, if you look at the global market, China सबसे बड़ा consumer है chemicals का, सबसे बड़ा manufacturer भी है. यूरोप में भी आपको दिखाई देगा कि केमिकल का बहुत सारा कंजम्पशन वहाँ होता है. ऑब्वियसली यूरोप में एक ख़राब खबर ये है कि जो चीप रशियन गैस उनको मिलती थी और वो चीपर गैस के बेसिस पे वो केमिकल्स एक कॉस्ट एफिशिएंट वे में प्रोडक्शन करते थे, उसको ब्रेक लग गया है. पिछले हफ्ते BASF ने अनाउंस किया कि वो अपना एक केमिकल कॉम्प्लेक्स बंद कर रहे हैं जहां वो TDI और दूसरे केमिकल्स प्रोडक्शन करते थे. चाइना का PMI डेटा बहुत स्ट्रांग आया, जिसका मतलब ये है कि दोनों रीजंस की वजह से शायद केमिकल प्राइसेस शॉर्ट टर्म में फॉर्म अप हो जाएंगे, ऐसा शायद बाजार को एक्सपेक्ट हो रहा है. आज मॉर्गन स्टैनली की एक रिपोर्ट आई केमिकल सेक्टर पे. उनको लगता है कि इंडियन कंपनीज आर एक्सपोर्ट ग्रोथ ओरिएंटेड, शायद वो एक्सपोर्ट स्टोरी शेप अप अच्छी तरीके से होगी आगे जाते हुए. हालांकि ऑर्डर बुक में जो स्लो डाउन हो रहा है वो शायद एक शॉर्ट टर्म कंसर्न है, लेकिन बिकॉज चाइना PMI डेटा इज गुड, यूरोप में काफ़ी सारे प्लांट्स बंद हो रहे हैं, जिसके कारण सप्लाई और डिमांड का एक मिसमैच जो हो रहा है वो कहीं आसपास मिलने की कोशिश कर रहा है, जिसके कारण मॉर्गन स्टैनली को लगता है कि टाटा केमिकल्स, SRF और नवीन फ्लोरिन, ये दो स्टॉक्स में आप खरीदारी कर सकते हैं और यहाँ उनकी एक बाय रेटिंग और प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक आइडिया है.
But chemicals stocks have been in the limelight for over the last 1 year. Fairly choppy moves there, largely on concerns that now the runaway growth that you had seen till some quarters back, that is now slowly easing, and very clearly because of the slowdown now being seen in developed markets, that's likely to be hit. But clearly the China reopening and the strong numbers there seem to have been some kind of a breather for chemical stocks. But at this point still, critics of the chemical story say that valuations are still not very comforting. So whether
I think on an average Santo, ये जो stocks की हम बात कर रहे हैं 35-40 times तो 1 year forward basis पे हैं. तो yes, you are right, stocks are not cheap. Story is compelling that China plus one strategy is working, Euro plus one strategy is working for Indian chemical sectors. But I think Santo, I concur with that point that valuations are expensive and these short term moves keep coming and going in these chemical stocks.
Well, Wonderla Holidays is the other stock on our watch list. Now the stock was up about 2%. The company's CEO was on CNBC TV 18 today and has said that while demand is fairly strong at this point in time, but however earnings growth for FY24 is likely to be lower. That's mainly because of the high base effect in FY23. FY23 was a good year for Wonderla Holidays, mainly because of largely because of revenge travel, if you can use that term. Also the average realization per user is expected to be a little soft in the fourth quarter, that's the current quarter according to the company, which is also a seasonally weak quarter when you compare it with the third quarter, which has been a fairly strong one. The company is seeing about 5 to 10% footfall growth in FY24 and also 10 to 12% increase in average realization per user. Now Yatin, here again this has been a stock which saw a dramatic rally between somewhere between May and September, when it went from all the way from around 200 to 400 plus, but since then again it has been a struggle. And if you look at all these hospitality stock also, it's the same thing. Over a longer term period they have not really delivered returns for investors, although if you were to just look at it from the last couple of years, these stocks suddenly look very very compelling.
Absolutely, but Santo, एक चीज़ जो मैनेजमेंट्स कह रहे हैं, and I think we should appreciate the point that because there is no real capacity in these leisure stocks, if I may call it, because if you look at hotels, if you look at these theme parks, if you look at restaurants, I think consumption is moving, but I think now they will have a pricing advantage. क्योंकि average room rents हो या realizations हो, both for Wonderla and hotel stocks, they are expected to improve. Obviously, a lot of things now depends on the footfall. With inflation soaring so much high, how much incremental money do people have in their hands to spend on these luxuries is a question mark. But if the situation normalizes, I think the footfalls and the kind of spending the people want to do on holidays or on theme parks should see a very strong uptake. In fact, Indian hotels, Santo, the management was saying that the supply of hotel rooms is quite limited now, and the average room rentals should move up from here significantly, which they have been. But I think a lot of that, as you mentioned, is in the price. Let's see how really on earnings do these companies perform in the coming quarters, because footfalls and the affordability is something that we need to watch out for.
There was an interesting report by ICICI Securities just a couple of days back, Yatin, and they've said that January, the trends for average room rates in January also were pretty strong.
Correct.
And February and March are also likely to be strong, mainly because of the wedding season.
Absolutely.
And to some extent the IPL factor also. So overall the trend looking pretty strong for stocks, but let's see if the prices can still give kind of further returns from these levels, having run up quite a bit. Well, that's all that we have in this episode of Closing Bell. Thank you for watching.
जुड़ने के लिए बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद.
And we'll be back with you again at 9 AM tomorrow morning. In the meantime, for all news, views, analysis, stay logged on to moneycontrol.com.